Hey everybody, happy Tuesday! It's Justine Laser and I'm so excited to be here with you live on a Tuesday night to talk about Transformation Tuesday. So Transformation Tuesday lives are always about the Enneagram. So how many times have you been in a group of people and someone brings up the Enneagram? They mention it, or maybe you're just hearing it online. Maybe you're only hearing it from me. But you may have, as you're in these situations, noticed a couple of different reactions to the word Enneagram. Some people, they jump right in. They're like, I'm a this number, I'm a that number, I have a wing, I got a tri-type, I'm a this and a that. And they want to share their obsession, and then they want to say, well, I think you might be this, or have you ever looked at that? And some people are like all into it. And then other people are like, what in the world? And then of course there are some people who just don't agree with personality typing systems at all. Some people get annoyed by it. Some people are confused by it. But some people are just like, what is this weird language? And I'm kind of curious, so I want to know a little bit more. So let me know, kind of where you stand. Have you heard of the Enneagram before besides from me? And if it's just me, say only you. Are you annoyed by it? Are you kind of confused by it? Are you excited about it? Is your curiosity piqued by it? Let me know kind of where you are on that Enneagram spectrum. But no matter where you stand on it, there are a couple of reasons why this ancient personality tool, and I've talked about how old this personality tool is. Now, granted, through the thousands of years, it's changed, right? But it is very, very old, very ancient. But let's talk about, why it's made its way onto social media, why it's made its way into break rooms, why it's made its way into dinner conversations and cocktail parties, not just in the United States, but all over the world. Okay, let's talk about it. So here are the top 5 reasons why people just don't stop talking about the Enneagram. So number 1, it's just plain helpful. Like, even if you think it's a little weird or whatever, it's just helpful. As I've said multiple times, unlike other personality systems, and granted, I'm not dissing any other personality system. Again, I'm certified in the DISC profiler system. It's an amazing system. It has, definitely has a place in the spectrum, right? They all can be helpful in their own ways, but the Enneagram is able to get to the why, the why behind your behaviors, the why you do what you do. And this is important because some people do similar actions, but for different reasons. So the reason that you do something, and we might do the same thing, and the reason that you do it might be very different from the reason that I do it. So the different personality types have different reasons or motivations behind why they do what they do. And so when you can see yourself kind of falling into the same unhelpful or unhealthy patterns over and over and over again, and you can understand why you're doing that thing, then you can start to move towards healthier thoughts and healthier actions. But you have to understand why first, okay? And the Enneagram is helpful in this endeavor because it gives you a clear map, a clear GPS to getting through this process. So that's number 1, is it's just plain helpful, right? And number 2, it gives you a language for the things that you already know about yourself, but maybe you've never been able to articulate why it is or what it is that you know about yourself. So once you're really clear on your type, and that can take everybody a different amount of time. Some people figure out their type really quickly. Believe it or not, some people, it takes them years to figure out their type. But once you know your type, you can really dive into self-awareness work. And the Enneagram surprisingly gives you language and reason for the things about yourself that you've never quite been able to kind of pinpoint or really get down to the nitty gritty. So you're going to start to see patterns in your behavior, patterns in the way that you think, and it's going to be in a more tangible way. And then you're going to be able to explain more clearly to yourself, and I think even more importantly to others, why these things continue to kind of pop up in your life. You now have words to put on certain feelings and words to put on certain behavioral patterns that you've always had, but you haven't quite been able to explain it to other people. And this is going to be really helpful for yourself as well as for your relationships. That brings me to point number 3, which is it helps you to understand other people around you. So just the way now people are going to be able to understand you better, you're going to be able to understand the people around you a little bit. Now, as I said in my last live, we should not type other people. And I've fallen into this trap, and I'm trying to get a lot better at that, at not telling people what type I think that they are. But so you shouldn't type other people. But the Enneagram, whether or not you type people, or whether or not in the back of your head you're like, I really think they're a 2, or I really think they're a 3, just by understanding the different types, just by knowing the 9 different perspectives. And as I showed last week, the 9 different lenses that we see life through, it just helps you to be a little bit more understanding and a little bit more compassionate. You don't even have to know everyone's type, though it is helpful. I mean, it's really, really helpful when you do know somebody's type, and when you see it and you're like, oh my gosh, that explains it, right? And I think it's really, really important to know the types of the people that you spend the most time with, if possible, going through that typing process together. But regardless of if you know other people's types or not, knowing that there are 9 types, it enables us to be able to extend grace to other people, and understanding that comes along with the knowledge of the motivations and the reasonings behind why the types do and behave the way they do. And it helps you to kind of take a step back and to respond in a more healthy way to the things that are going on in your relationships, especially when your tensions are high, and you can stop and you can think and you can say to yourself, okay, so I'm an 8, for example, and they're a 2. And when we don't see the world through the same lens color, it's going to cause a problem. So let's take a step back and let's try to understand this from each other's point of view. So learning how you're wired and then learning how other people are wired is going to help you to interact better with other people, because you can watch for what is motivating them behind this. Let me think about why they are doing or acting or responding in this way. Let me think about what fear it is that they carry with them that's making them respond in a way that I just don't quite understand. And it's gonna give you an idea as to what is driving these other people to behave the way that they are. So, number 4, it shows that the best things about you are often the worst things about you. So, they always say, like, sometimes our strengths are our biggest weaknesses, right? Because they get magnified. So the Enneagram gives you the freedom to be human. So we now know that, like, everybody has these core motivations, these core fears, these patterns of behavior that just keep popping up. But it points out how your best traits can, when you're in an unhealthy state, and most of us are in average to unhealthy most of the time. It takes a lot of self-development to get to a healthy state, okay? So most of us are average to unhealthy. So, but it points out how your best traits when you're in unhealthy state also can be your worst traits. And the system itself provides an objective look at both the gifts that your type brings to the world, but also the flaws that you bring. And those flaws are magnified, in an unhealthy state, really can cause damage in a relationship. So this honest look at yourself allows you to admit more freely that you're in need of grace. You're in need of understanding. And at the same time, you need to extend that to other people. And the same with healing. Like, we all need healing. We all need to give healing. We all need to receive healing. And embracing the ways in which God has uniquely wired you. And even though there's only 9 types, within those types, there's all sorts of extra types, right? that I've never talked about on here yet because it gets confusing, and I'm going to just do basic right now. But there's a lot of nuance within those types. I don't want you to think there's only 9 different types of people in the world. That's not what we're saying at all. But we're uniquely gifted, and we're made in God's image. And so he wants us to extend grace, and he wants us to extend healing. And the fact that the Enneagram takes the whole person into account makes this particular personality typing system, in my opinion, the best in the world. And then number 5, the 5th reason that we're seeing the Enneagram all over the place, is it can be applied to all walks of life. Whether you're working to improve your personal relationships, the relationships with your spouse, with your family, with your kids, with your coworkers, with church members, the Enneagram is applicable in every single instance. It is such an all-encompassing tool that it allows for all sorts of relational dynamics to repair and to grow and to strengthen. Its versatility is one of the main reasons people find it worth the work that's required to learn the Enneagram and to apply it in all facets of your life. So, the top 5 reasons why people are talking about the Enneagram all over the world is it's just plain helpful. Number 1. Number 2, it gives you the language for things you already know about yourself, but you have not been able to articulate. It helps you to understand the people around you is number 3. Number 4, it shows you the best things about you can oftentimes also be the worst things about you. And it can be applied to all walks of life, all facets of your life, all areas of your life. It is a very, very versatile tool. It is a tool that should be used to bring healing to relationships, to bring growth to relationships, and to also bring healing and grace to yourself as you get to know yourself better. So with that being said, if you are wanting to know more about this, feel free to reach out. If you would like the replay of my free mini intro to the Enneagram, I'm happy to send that to you. If you go to justinelaser.com, there is a free typing guide that you can download and have it delivered to your email so that you can go through that process and see which type that you think that you are. And then I also have I also have one-on-one sessions, typing sessions to really dig down and make sure that we're getting the right type. And in addition to that, I send out an online testing system to make sure that we do have the right type. So let me know if any of that is interest to you. All of it is explained on my website, justinelaser.com. I would love the opportunity to work with you one-on-one. The Enneagram has been something that has been really, really helpful to me. I still have a long way to go, just like everybody else has a long way to go in growth. But it's really opened my eyes to a lot of the patterns in my life and the patterns of the way that I behave and react in certain situations. And it has made me more aware. And the more aware that I am of those, I can take a step back and say, you know what, that's my type talking right now. That's my unhealthy type. I need to move into a more healthy type. And I have those strengths within me. They're there because they're my type, and I can move into those healthy patterns. So I would love to help you find those unhealthy patterns, break them, and replace them with healthier patterns just by looking at your Enneagram type. So if that's something that you would like, you can private message me. You can message me through my website, or you can just drop down below that you're interested and I can send you the info. So I hope that this was helpful in understanding a little bit more as why everybody's interested in this. It's everywhere. It's all over the world. I'd love to hear if you've heard of it before, if you know or think you know what your type is and you want to drop it down below. As of right now, I am an 8-wing 7. There's a little bit of discrepancy in there. I did just have a typing session with a coach, and that's not what she thinks I am. So I'm going to go back to the drawing board, and I'm going to see if I think that she's right, or where we might have gone wrong with the typing, because it is a lot. As I say, it's a very simple system, but there's a lot of nuances in there. And within the simplicity, there's a lot that you can go through. And so I'm excited to see if I really am an 8-wing 7, or if perhaps I've been mistyped, because maybe I need to dig a little bit deeper. So it's really exciting, and I would love to share that process with all of you. So have a fantastic night. I will be back again with you next Tuesday to do another Transformation Tuesday and talk more about how the Enneagram can be used to transform your life. So thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed this beautiful day, and I will be back with you again later on this week for another live.